Welcome back, friends. Having established the perspective around why people feel motivated to use social media and how marketers they tend to get associated with this habit or motivation of people, now we'll start traversing into different avenues which can be utilized or which are being utilized for ad posts on social media. The broader classification, which definitely is ever evolving, and the media classified under these broader categorization are also ever evolving. So that is social networking, wherein you can put up Facebook, LinkedIn, then microblogging, Twitter, Tumblr, and Twitter is a prominent thing. Photo sharing, when Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat, and you see many of these are not actually prominently or not at all working in India, but elsewhere. So this is broadly which we are categorizing. You may agree with that or not. Some of them definitely have gone through several kinds of controversies. So, but we are not actually intending to talk about that at all. But just to suggest that this is how, these are examples of the categorization, and please focus on the categorization, not specifically on the examples. Video sharing, for example, there comes YouTube, Facebook Live, Instagram Reels, Periscope, and so on. And I am not sure at all which prominently you have been using or you have been exposed to. There are many people who are not exposed to any of these, for example. But that number is getting reduced in due course of time, or I should say the number of users is increasing as ever. Now here comes a larger statistics around that. So, and as I have been continuously saying that I refrain from using this word penetration. So to me it is larger acceptance as compared to penetration. So I would read it as acceptance of leading social media networks in India, as of acceptance by the users. That is what we are referring to. But the slide says, the graph says penetration of leading social networks in India as of January 2021, wherein you see share of population is it is addressed by YouTube to the levels of 85% plus, Facebook 75%, WhatsApp again neck to neck with Facebook, and they belong to the same organization. Instagram it's 70%, Facebook Messenger is 55, and so on. So you see the number of many the percentage of many of these avenues is very high in terms of share of population goes, and that is an important thing for marketers to notice, because they are using it accordingly, and that definitely is helping the complete integrated marketing communication planners also. So, and plan also I should say by the organizations. For example, an automotive manufacturer, they focus on YouTube and then on television, probably they can do that, or they complement their television advertising with YouTube messaging and so on, because they know that their target in specific age groups, and then we have the statistics available with us that what kind of age groups are the larger users of particular kind of a mode and avenue. And definitely by all statistics, youth is one of the biggest participant in whole of the scenario. So we will be talking about that as well. Now you see, let's talk of Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg has created history in terms of there are movies on him and what he has done in due course of time, and but the point is, the fact of life is that today there are millions of users of Facebook to the levels of 340 million in 2021, which is a very big number. You see, and then people have started saying that if you combine that number basically and you imagine that becomes a country and so on, but you see that is just kind of synonymous to generating similes or comparative statistics, but the number is very huge. So you see, it has wide appeal in India and offers a wide array of targeting options, and the biggest, it's has the biggest social media audience in the world. So that is what we are looking at, and it is fairly intuitive, and access to Facebook ads manager allows one-to-one campaign management, and it is also available as an app. So it can be used on mobile devices. It's a device friendly kind of an application. Now, who uses it? So, you see, the demographics are very important for marketers, and we have seen that in past when we have discussed marketing research and other elements. So, you see, in case of Facebook, as per Statista 2020 reports, the demographics are more towards the youth market or younger lot. 74 million males along with 23 million female identified users between ages of 18 and 24. Now, this is an important element, and that is where several kinds of messages are focused upon this kind of a lot, and that is what justifies our preceding discussion wherein immediate response, spending lots of time on that, spending late night times on Facebook, basically that is an enabler for marketer. And you see, this group again is a spender also, means either someone else is spending their money on them, parents or elders or whosoever, and this group is entering into an earning bracket also. So that makes lots of sense, lots of relevance for as far as the marketer goes while looking at Facebook with a perspective of addressing their prospective customers. Then again, there is an interesting kind of statistics which is related to almost 70% of Indians between age 18 and 34 years old used Facebook alone. So that is again as far as Indian perspective goes, and most young adults spend between 1 and 2 hours on social media, which means it is a significant part of their day. Of course, it is. You see, if you are spending 2 hours on social media, so monthly it is 60 hours and annually it is almost 720 hours. So that is a very, very big time, very large time which one is spending. And if that kind of a time is available for someone, so marketers, they have that kind of a window for gaining one's attention. Now, it is best suited to every business which can think of having a Facebook page at least listed with an address, website and other basic details, as it is the bare minimum of what users expect. And you see, whether a business should use paid advertising to promote posts depends on what it wants to achieve and so on. So that is how business users can think of as far as the Facebook perspective goes. Now, you see, advertising with Facebook is associated with ad types and targeting options. So ad types are single image ads or single video ads or carousel ads, dynamic ads, slideshow ads and so on. And then targeting options are related to core audience or custom audience or look-alike audience. There is a thin demarcation as far as these things go, but then a marketer must look into whom he is addressing. For example, core audience where they select their audience manually based on demographics like age and location and so on, the core elements of the audience that makes it the core audience. Now, you see, Facebook has a particular kind of a revenue model. I would not spend too much of time on as far as putting up this thing, but just to give you a glimpse that you see, advertising represents 98% of the Facebook's $86 billion revenue in 2020. Huge revenue, and we all know that Facebook is doing very well in terms of as far as their growth goes. So, and you see, their users are core revenue making assets, and users however are not Facebook's primary customers. Their advertisers are fundamentally, because you see they have large number of advertisers who are actually focusing upon these users. So the Facebook business model is based on offering its tools and services mostly for free to billions of users and then making money by allowing businesses to show Facebook's users advertising, and advertisers pay the price to Facebook that is determined in an auction based on demand and supply. Of course, you are accepted by such a large population, you can very well organize an auction basically. You do not have to run after advertisers. Advertisers would definitely look for your space to be used and so on. And you see, Facebook ad platform allows advertisers to show the ads to the target users and offers them detailed performance tracking on how different campaigns and different types of visuals work, which definitely can be easily managed. And advertisers are worried about what? Return on investments or advertising expenditure, as we have talked about earlier also. And if you want to look at it as a formula somehow, then users into time spent, into ads per hour, into price per ad, somehow it is the revenue formula, wherein definitely economics works, wherein if the time goes up, then definitely price gets rationalized and as against the time spent. So I do not say here that there is a trade off, but definitely economics works. And there are elements that payments for advertisements are derived through, as I said, auctions where advertisers compete for space. So this auction considers how often users will click on ads, and it is designed to prefer advertisements that will make the most money for Facebook. Obviously, they are going for that, but that also means that it will make good sense for advertisers to come up for that kind of space, because that will give them good response as well. You see, now there are revenue drivers. So we have talked about it briefly, but users, then time spent. You see, more the users Facebook has, more revenue it will earn. More time people will spend on Facebook using its different apps generally means Facebook can earn more revenue, as it can show more ads to people. If I will stay more on the page basically, then I have this marketer has this kind of an advantage that I would be watching more advertisements. Now for example, in pandemic people use social media more, which means more revenue, but somehow price got adjusted because the time being spent by people, as I said, I mentioned earlier, it went beyond a certain time limit. So definitely price had to be adjusted. Ads per hour, you see, now this is tricky to assume that other revenue formula factors will stay unchanged. More ads are showed per hour on Facebook, more revenue Facebook earns. That is kind of. So you see, the whole logic actually is that we have to go for more and more time spent, more number of users and more ads, which rationalizes victory for almost everyone. It is not just that Facebook would keep on earning more revenue, it would be beneficial for the advertisers, which is definitely an important element, because they are the Facebook clients and they have to think in terms of the benefit of their advertisers. And on the other side, customers, they should not, or the users should not feel being intruded, they should be feeling being entertained actually. And you see that perspective which advertisers would carry through lots of creativity, we have talked about that earlier, the storyboards, the narrative, the colors, the pictures, the music, whatever advertisers would use to gain the attention of their customers, which will make them happy actually. So that will be victorious for the customer as well, because ultimately customer would end up purchasing things of their choices, or they would get informed and they would get more aware of the things at the end of the day. And then another element is price per ad, and this is a volatile part. So that definitely price has a logic. Now revenue from WhatsApp. You see, I am slightly elaborative on these elements because many a times we wonder that how organizations are earning out of these applications. And definitely, WhatsApp has not been a very strong revenue enabler up till now actually. But the point is that victory of such kind of applications is the number of users they have associated with themselves in due course of time. And now WhatsApp is about to become a revenue generator, wherein Facebook is bringing up a very strong model around as far as business users go. So let's have a glimpse of it. based on Facebook's current plans, WhatsApp, won't be making money from advertising, but Facebook will earn money by providing tools for businesses to communicate with customers through WhatsApp. And that is where, you see, ultimately if you advertise or you inform, so both ways, that is an important thing for the marketer, and Facebook or WhatsApp precisely must have a revenue model to sustain themselves. So that is how things are. Now Facebook already collects some revenue from fees it charges from business customers for using its WhatsApp for sending messages to their customers, but then revenue from these fees is these kind of fee structure is tiny, and Facebook's plan is to build on top of this and offer a more comprehensive solution for businesses to communicate with their customers precisely. Now that definitely would be useful, because in today's situation you would realize that WhatsApp is becoming a very important aspect of communication for almost everyone, for passing on the documents and whatever kind of security elements they are projecting. So that is enabling and motivating people to utilize it for several kinds of modes. So you can transmit documents also, you can transmit long detailed information also, and whichever way. So it can be structured that way. You see, then let us look at some more statistics. Most popular brands on Facebook from India as of December 2020 by number of fans in millions, and State Bank of India is huge basically, and then you see this number of fans on Facebook is in millions actually. So State Bank of India 18 million plus, then Hyundai India, Airtel, Shoppers Stop, Amazon, Aircel, Flipkart, Aircel now concurrently basically can be re-looked upon basically, then Flipkart and Fast Track, Shoppers Clues, Craftsvilla. This chart is given by Statista, that can be revisited and understood through the reports given by Statista in accordance with these charts. The reference is given for your detailed evaluation. You see, the two social media giants, WhatsApp and Facebook, they had the highest number of users in India compared to rest of the world. This is a good news for the marketers, and at the same time India ranks second in the world in terms of the number of Instagram users as well. Are we moving into an era of social media marketing? They say that we have already entered into that era wherein lots of marketers, they are banking solely on social media. I am not sure that who are those people who have specifically shifted entirely to social media, but people are tending to. You would remember that we have discussed a Dabur case study last time, wherein Dabur actually experimented upon a very successful campaign through a digital mode, and that is looked upon as a transformation of Dabur as an organization in terms of communicating with their customers, because conventionally they have been going through several mass media, newspapers and televisions and so on, and you see Dabur must have noticed this. Several other organizations, they do have this thing in consideration, and they are moving up to this. People are watching it closely, people are redefining their integrated marketing communication planning and so on. And you see, even though these are different social media platforms, Facebook owns both WhatsApp as well as Instagram, making it the largest stakeholder in India's social media economy, which is actually working from all the sides for them, good for them. But for us, it is a learning thing, that communication, perspective of communication is redirecting itself. Now I want you to briefly think in terms of that what kind of products and services can solely be shifted over to such kind of a communication. Do we have some kind of products which do not require any other mode? And when I say that you start putting up a scale around this, basically I intend to suggest that, you see, it is not that we should start negating any other form of communication, but we should start revisiting the scale wherein the strength of different kinds of modes of communication is altering, and then we should analyze that what kind of alteration is coming up. Try and do this, try and choose one product, two products, or an industry for that matter. Draw the last 5 years statistics, or use databases like Statista, and then try and analyze for yourself that what kind of changes are we witnessing right now. कुछ ऐसा बड़ा काम करो कि दुकान छोटी पड़ जाए. A beautiful campaign, and I have discussed this earlier as well when I was talking about few other elements of integrated marketing communication long back. But you see, this has done wonders, and this has exactly communicated what Facebook is doing as far as Indian market perspective goes. In preceding few minutes, I have talked about that how Facebook is making stronger inroads. Now they are projecting those elements in front of their users and marketers as well. Now this is a very important thing and lesson for us to understand, that several modes require their own publicity or own spread in terms of their brand image goes, with reference to not only their consumers and customers, but their advertisers and marketers as well. For example, many a times newspaper requires to tell that this is how they reach to the consumers, and that information goes to the advertisers in form of advertisements itself. Televisions, they also tell about themselves, and Facebook as a mode is establishing itself with the similar kind of a perspective and creativity, wherein they are telling their advertisers that somehow, or especially small businesses, that if they are on Facebook, they definitely can grow in due course of time. They do not require much of a support from other media. Here I wish to raise one more very important point, that though in our perspective several modes are to be seen with an integrated marketing communication reference, but within those modes, if you will look at Facebook as an organization and any newspaper or television as an organization, they are competitors to each other as well, because they are eyeing for the revenue from their advertisers, and they can be anyone. For example, classified advertiser of a newspaper can be a small business advertiser for Facebook as well. So although with our perspective, it should be an integrated exercise by that particular advertiser, but with the perspective of Facebook and that newspaper, there is a competition for the same advertiser, and that is what Facebook is doing. Actually, they are targeting small advertisers. Instagram, what do they offer? Instagram offers photos, videos, carousel ads, in a number of formats. It is owned by Facebook, as we have talked about, so it has many of the same features, including analytics through Facebook ads managers, and good targeting options and various objectives to drive the campaigns. Instagram stories are also powerful features basically. You see, pictures, they speak for themselves, and that is one of the most important abilities Instagram has. So that is where you can express more, and that is how advertisers are using it, because here the consumer who is associated with Instagram is tending to express more, and not only this is being noticed by the marketers, they are also participating with more expressive advertising in terms of the associated customers. So it's a mutual kind of mutually related kind of a thing, and as I told you earlier, that somehow after a particular stage, advertiser is not only the beneficiary, but they are the participants in the process as well, and that actually depends upon the kind of creativity they use. So you see, it has a very strong tight community culture with a focus on quality, unique content and creativity. Who uses that? So Instagram is one of the leading social networks in India with a far stronger male user compared to female users in 2021, although it should not be. In today's era, I have been repeatedly saying this, I believe that all the genders should come up and become the main participants of whole of the social process whichever is going on, and definitely females should come up more strongly, and they should be looked upon as the bigger decision makers as compared to males. That is my personal view, and you can hold it as my own thing basically. So now, out of the total users, the social networking site reported to have around 73% male and 27% females, wherein the number is increasing. Now, this is best suited to the key attraction for Instagram is visually attractive pictures and videos. So, businesses that lend themselves to visuals like such as food, decoration or travel related brands will have an advantage, and several other businesses which can capitalize upon the ability of Instagram. And you see, so again 18 to 24 years is the kind of demographic advantage which we have out of this, and ad types offered are similar, but here slideshows and stories ads are again a very important element, and then definitely videos also contribute quite a bit. Then, as in the case of Facebook, here also custom audience and then other elements are also there in terms of targeting options. Now, leading social media platforms for influencer marketing across India in 2020 is a statistics which gives us a fairly good idea in terms of shares of share of respondents, wherein 800 respondents were contacted for this kind of a thing basically. So, here they say that Instagram has 95% of, as far as that should I say reach or level of association. So that can be expressed to 80%. I do not know that what kind of a sample has been used, but this report from Statista would be quite elaborative on that, and you can fetch that. Facebook had 60%, YouTube had 40% and so on. So but this is specifically focusing on active platform for social media influencer marketing. So how influencer marketing is associated with these kind of platforms, and we have already talked about influencer marketing. And you see again, as Facebook came up with that campaign about themselves, Instagram has also come up with, or there is an advertisement for Instagram itself, we are in the making. That is a beautiful campaign. You can fetch it on YouTube, you can fetch it on several avenues. So you see, we are in the making is rooted in the fact that for young people, identity isn't defined, it's something that's constantly explored. And you see, identity formation means connecting more deeply with the people that matter to you, discovering and experimenting with new interests, or sharing your perspective, however work in progress it may be. And there are sources mentioned with this slide, there are details mentioned where you can fetch this kind of a campaign, but this campaign again is working. Both the cases you would realize that they are positioning themselves for specific targets as an avenue, and that is what avenues do for themselves. So that also we should keep in mind. So I will come back with other modes of communication on social media in our next session. Till then, goodbye.